Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Today we're back here with the kill count. We're back with another two-parter. It's part 1 and 2 of Stranger Things 2, the second season, released in 2017. So, yeah. Well, Will managed to get out of the upside down, but looks like that ghost is still haunting him. And, well, if you guys know the seasons, you know what Stranger Things is up to. So, shall we check it out and see where things have been? Sorry, just changing some stuff. Be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's go.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror media. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at the second season of Stranger Things, released to Netflix in 2017. After the enormous success of the first season of Stranger Things, Netflix immediately ordered a second from the writer-director duo Matt and Ross Duffer. Though the twin brothers had originally considered making the show an anthology series, or doing a big time jump to see the characters as adults, a la It, they realized that what made the people fall in love with the show was their cast of kid actors, so they brought them all back and kept the story chug-a-luggin'. Stranger Things 2 takes place about a year after the first season, and primarily focuses on the upside-down stowaway that came to our world through Will Byers, a plotline hinted at in the closing moments of the season 1 finale. The season also sees Eleven, now in the care of Chief Hopper, becoming more independent and wanting to learn more about her backstory, which leads to the most divisive episode of the entire series in Chapter 7, The Lost Sister. For the most part, I felt like Stranger Things 2 was a serviceable and slightly darker follow-up to the first season. It didn't feel quite as special, but that's not surprising. Hard to capture that same sense of wonder a second time. If I had a complaint, it'd be that it feels like it loves itself a bit too much. Unlike the more earnest and unproven first season, this is now a show that knows it's big and popular, and knows that its characters are beloved. That's how we end up with a ton of sweeping group shots that feel like album covers to me. But I get it. I would also be quite proud if Stranger Things were my show. Instead, my show's the Kill Count, and that's fine too. So while there are a few too many on-the-nose needle drops, and Mike Wheeler spends most of the season being a whiny turd, the new characters, from the spunky Max to the wholesome Bob to the downright terrifying Billy, bring a freshness to the show that helps carry this season through its extended runtime. Mostly though, it's just nice to hang out in Hawkins again. Reminder that in my videos covering season 1, I talked a lot about cast and crew members who returned for the sequel season. Since I don't want to repeat too much info, be sure to watch those to learn all about the people behind the show. Now it's time to head back to Hawkins and see how many kills we find there.
Here we go. Time for round 2.
The season begins
in
Pittsburgh, to be exact, almost a year after the events of season 1. An alarm bell signals that we're witnessing a crime, one committed by masked 80s punks rocking classic 80s punk hair. This diverse group of misfits flees the police in their van, but when they just can't seem to shake them, their leader, named Callie, directs driver Mick towards a tunnel, then closes her eyes for a shakalaka, comma, boom. It crumbles a bridge that stops the cops, even though it didn't actually happen. Turns out Callie only made them perceive that the bridge had fallen apart, and all it took for her to do it was one little nosebleed. Say, that nosebleed and that wrist tattoo look mighty familiar. Almost as familiar as this title card! I said the thing. Y'all just love it, don't you? It's Halloween time in Hawkins, Indiana, which is as good a time as any to hit up the Palace Arcade. It's here that our favorite force, Will Byers, Mike Wheeler, Dustin Henderson, and Lucas Sinclair, convenes to play Dragon's Lair, a QTE Laserdisc game that was probably the most popular of 1983, and not exactly because of its gameplay. You know what I'm saying, you know what I mean. Dustin's dirt gets burnt, but that's not as bad as finding out he no longer has the high score on Dig Dug. That spot's been taken by someone named Mad Max. Will Byers is still feeling the effects of his sojourn to another dimension, occasionally seeing himself back inside the Upside Down, where the sky is mighty spooky. But calm down, you scared little bastard. This hellish vision is just a hallucination. In reality, Will's feet are still right side up. His peers at school haven't forgotten about the time he was declared dead, and their bullying makes it hard for Will to enjoy a presentation about the human brain by their science teacher, Mr. Clark. The lesson is interrupted by a new student's arrival, who was just dropped off by her scorpion of a stepbrother. Oh, and the ladies at Hawkins High are mighty fond of that boy Stinger.
Would you check out that ass? Just look at it go.
The new student from California is Max Mayfield, played by Sadie Sink, who once sucker punched David Cross in an episode of Kimmy Schmidt.
Knockout game.
Oh!
The boys realize that Max must be Mad Max of Dig Dug fame, so they scope out this high-scoring skateboarder at lunch, though their spying efforts don't go unnoticed.
Stop spying on me, creeps.
Well, shit.
Creeps? Come on, Max. Would a creep wait outside the arcade and watch for you through binoculars? Actually, don't answer that.
They would.
He will not be able to resist these pearls.
You're making it worse, Dustin.
Dude, stop
Dustin's new teeth for this season are actually a fake set, since actor Gaten Matarazzo's real front teeth still hadn't come in by time of production. The purr, however, was all Gaten, derived from his Chewbacca impression.
It starts off with my Chewie impression. That's not the Chewie. Me, my Chewie impression.
Nice.
It needs a little work.
Dustin and Lucas watch as Max is dropped off by her stepbrother, with whom she doesn't have the best relationship, and it becomes apparent real fast that this season about to have a love triangle.
Mad Max.
After a montage that screams, "This is 1984,"
1980s.
even though it's anachronistically scored by a 1985 Oingo Boingo song, we wind up at Melville's General Store in Hawkins Square, where Joyce Byers still works. What's new in her life, though, is a boyfriend named Bob Newby, played by Best Hobbit Sean Astin, in a casting decision that fuels the show's 80s nostalgia, thanks to his role in The Goonies. And I'll say it right now, I fucking love Bob Newby, even if we have different tastes when it comes to movies.
Tell Jonathan not to pick anything scary. I hate scary movies.
Joyce picks up Will from school.
True. Scary movies tend to take a while to get used to. I mean, heck, started here. I'm still trying to get used to it. Anyway.
For an appointment at Hawkins' lab, where they're joined by police chief Jim Hopper in all his protective paternal glory. At the lab, they speak with the new head scientist there, Dr. Sam Owens, played by Paul Reiser, another 80s nostalgia casting choice thanks to his role in Aliens as the smarmy, duplicitous company man Burke. His casting was also meant to make you immediately distrust this character.
The minute
you see Burke, you'd be like,
I show up,
oh, this asshole.
In season 2, the audience is going, yeah, this is not going to go well.
Will tells Owens, and unknowingly, some cigarette-smoking scary guys, that he's been having flashes to the Upside Down, where he feels an evil presence watching him and waiting to kill everyone. Owens brushes it off, though, and says it's probably just trauma.
Sure, that's a good idea.
Coming up on the anniversary of Will's demo-dodging last year, which, of course, came about thanks to an upside-down gate inadvertently opened by Eleven, which continues to be a problem to this very damn day. Burn it with fire! Nancy Wheeler and Steve Harrington are still dating, but that doesn't stop her from being friends with Jonathan Byers and inviting him to a Halloween party so he won't stay inside by himself all night.
You're gonna be home by 8. Listening to the Talking Heads.
Excuse me, Nancy. The name of the band is Talking Heads. She and Steve visit the home of Barb Holland, whose parents are still obsessing over the disappearance of their daughter. Since Nancy and Steve aren't allowed to tell them the whole upside-downy truth, they decided to put their house up for sale to hire private investigator Murray Bowman, who's played by comedian Brett Gelman, and who was seen earlier talking to Chief Hopper about the possibility of Russian spies in Hawkins.
I'm talking multiple reports now. Multiple reports, okay, of a Russian child in Hawkins.
A child? What are you talking
Russian
about,
child?
A girl
Seriously?
who may have psionic abilities.
Nancy's guilt is so heavy that it gives her bathroom breakdowns. And I love that they deal with the fallout from Barb's death in this season. Helps make it feel consequential. Their dilemma is totally...
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they couldn't control it, but you have to remember, like, she disappeared because she basically blew her off. So... yeah, you can definitely see the trauma build up with her. So, oof. Like, I can't even imagine going through that, you know? Like, sorry, I'm not sure you're hearing that, dog. Anyway, moving along.
Totally believable, too, as Steve later points out to Nancy that they're powerless against the U.S. government's cover-up.
They could put us in jail, okay? Or worse, they could destroy our families. They can do anything they want.
Yeah, things are pretty rough when you're not Uncle Sam's favorite niece or nephew. After a movie night at the Byers' home, where Bob gets a fucking kick out of Mr. Mom, Will wakes up in the middle of the night and experiences another psychic transportation to the Upside Down, in a shot that serves as a direct homage to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Damn, Upside Down, your weather's been pretty wild lately. Wonder if it has anything to do with the 50-story behemoth on the horizon there. Chief Hopper finishes a long long day of investigating rotten pumpkin patches and parks his car at a cabin in the woods. He steps over tripwires and knocks a specific pattern on the door before entering, not wanting to scare the other inhabitant inside, who is revealed to be 11,
Hey, welcome
now
back.
living with him and growing out her locks. Now, you may ask yourself, how did she get here? Well, after giving that Demogorgon
Yeah,
some
the
corporal
disintegration
punishment, 11 was briefly transported to the Upside Down. For these flashbacks, 11 needed to have her short haircut, but everyone was understandably reluctant to shave Millie Bobby Brown's head again. The
Yeah, no
solution
shit.
came from the
A
married
wig?
couple managing the season's huge amount of visual effects work. Senior VFX
Hey, Graf?
supervisor Paul Graff and senior VFX producer Christina Graff. They oversaw the show's nearly 2,000 VFX shots, including giving 11 a digital haircut by tracking this
That
buzz
works.
cut to her head. I think it's pretty damn impressive. 11 found a way out through the hole the Demogorgon made when it burst into the
that's
season
lucky.
1 finale, and using her brain powers to make it more 11-sized, she pierced her way through the bubblegum membrane and returned to the right side up. She went back to the Wheeler home only to find it uninviting, with government agents all
Yeah,
over the
best
place,
to back
ensuring
up for a while.
everyone there would stay hush-hush. At least they don't have to worry about Mike's dad, Ted.
Understood. We're all patriots in this house.
Your boots, sir.
Boot
Although
the guy.
Mike saw 11 through the window, she was gone before he could talk to her, fleeing into the woods until eventually winding up in Hopper's cabin. Mike's been a little sad boy ever since, reminiscing about 11 and trying to call her on the radio in vain. 11 wants to go trick-or-treating, arguing that no one would know it was her beneath a costume, but Hopper ixnays that play.
Bad idea.
We don't take risks, all right? They're stupid. And?
We're not stupid.
Yeesh.
Exactly.
He instead promises a night of scary movies and candy, but how could that compare to dressing up like a gosh dang Ghostbuster?
Ghostbuster! Go
Busted
well.
makes you feel good. Well, maybe not Mike. He's still emo and not in the mood for his mom Karen's photo sesh. But the other boys are happy to have their costumes photo documented by Jonathan and Joyce, by Dustin's mom Claudia and their cute kitty Muse, and by Lucas's unnamed mother and his unimpressed sister Erica.
You are such a nerd.
Shut up. They get to the school
shut it.
where Mike and Lucas argue over who gets to be Bill Murray.
You're Winston. I specifically didn't agree to Winston.
Dude, I agree with Lucas. Winston sucks.
He joined the team super late. He's not funny, and he's not even a scientist.
Completely
Ouch.
valid points.
True.
Even though nobody else wore their
probably
costumes
wasn't just-
to school, Dustin and Lucas strike up the nerve to talk to Max and show off their gadgetry. They invite her to go trick-or-treating with them that night, but it doesn't look like she's into it. Sorry, boys.
Whoa.
Max is picked up after school by her stepbrother Billy, who you can tell is a badass because of his denim tux, the speed at which
Whoa.
he drives his Camaro, and the
Yeesh.
Ted Nugent blaring from his speakers. He's a real scary doucher who hates Hawkins so much, he nearly runs down its residence in the middle of the
Good
road.
Lord, asshole.
Billy's played by the then 22-year-old Perth-born Dacre Montgomery, last seen on the kill count in a short but memorable
Oh, better watch
role in
out.
Better Watch Out. Billy's irredeemable bully character is basically what Steve was supposed to be before Joe Keery charmed the Duffers into writing a bigger, more sympathetic role for him. In real life, though,
Okay.
Dacre Montgomery seems like a nice guy too.
I'm not really like that. This isn't who I am.
Okay.
Right now,
Fair.
or the character?
He got the role after sending in a pretty unorthodox audition tape.
It came out that I was wearing a G-string at one point or another. And,
You were wearing a G-string for the audition?
part of it. I may have been. But
I got a movie coming up. You want to send me an audition tape?
How hard is to work to find
Nice. Okay, that actually is kind of funny. Just, can you imagine just coming onto the G-string and the director is like, get him as the bully, right now! Sorry, just, the image of that is just funny. Though, you think, I mean, I get the not taking risks, but it's only going to last for so long, you know? I mean, the police are eventually going to know, or at least the government's going to know eventually, you know? Just saying. Sometimes those risks are worth taking sometimes. Anyway.
more rotten pumpkins on the docket. In fact, there are sites of blight all
Jesus
over Hawkins.
Christ,
And
what's
near
going on
some
here?
of these gross fly-filled gores, Hopper finds a sticky slime all over the trees. Yuck. Will's been drawing pictures of the giant Lovecraftian monster he saw, and although that's concerning to Joyce, she still allows him to go trick-or-treating. Jonathan drops
Fair.
him off and gives him a video camera to record his adventures, then decides to go to the party Nancy told him about, a real cool kid Halloween
Mustache.
jamboree where Billy's making a name for himself. himself
Yeah.
inheriting Steve's old shitty friend, Tommy H. Of course that fuck's dressed like Johnny Lawrence. Hopper's podunk and pumpkin investigation takes him late into the evening, meaning he's gonna be late for his movie night with Eleven, who has spent the day looking out the window and thinking back to when she had to telekinetically kill squirrels for food. Mind kill. For a while, she was stuck using flying flaming squirrel meat to keep herself hidden and warm, but eventually she found the food stash Hopper kept setting out for her. Too bad the guy can't keep his Halloween promises, though. The boys are trick-or-treating when they're confronted by a shape.
Holy shit, you should have seen the look on your faces.
Yeah, it's Maxine Myers and Dustin and Lucas Lackey. They try to impress her with their best Californian accents.
Totally tubular.
As Mike complains about the changes in their party roster,
Mike, relax.
He steps away from Will, who gets teased by Wolfman and Jason's until he falls ass backwards right into the Upside Down. Damn, kid. Hope you're getting frequent flyer miles for all your trips to this place. He watches as the enormous and frankly fucking terrifying shadow monster rises up into the sky, which scares Will down some stairs until Mike finds him and teleports him back into the real world. Man, that poor little Byers boy. Nancy's not happy that...
Yeah, no kidding. I don't think even I can figure out, okay, am I dreaming again or am I actually here? Sheesh. I'd probably be like, even something to remind myself. Like, Lord. Hey, you gotta feel bad for the kid. Anyway.
Steve just wants to move past Barb's death, so she starts going hard on the Halloween party punch. By the time Jonathan gets there, she's a stumbling slob with a solo cup, who only gets sloppier when Steve tries to stop her from further consumption. They go to the bathroom to clean her up, where her portrayal of drunkenness veers from completely realistic...
It's not coming off, Nancy.
It's coming.
...to a tad bit over the top.
You're bullshit.
What?
You're pretending like everything's okay.
Since Nancy basically says she doesn't love Steve, he leaves upset. Thankfully, Johnny Bye-Bye's still around to make sure she gets home safely and tucked into her Betty Bye. Hopper gets home to 11 and apologizes for being so late, but she doesn't open her bedroom door for him. She's too busy using static and a blindfold to take a trip into the void. There, she sees Mike inside his blanket fort trying to radio for her. So although she's not allowed to contact him, at least she knows he's thinking of her. That's worth a bloody nose, right? Dustin gets home from trick-or-treating to find his trash can shaking something awful. He thinks it might be his kitty Muse, but when he looks inside, he finds something that he puts in his Ghostbusters box and takes into his room. It's a little tadpole-like creature that he drops into his reptile tank. It doesn't like the heat lamp, but it does like Three Musketeers, so Dustin names the creature after the narrating friend of the Three Inseparables.
D'Artagnan.
After another flashback showing when Eleven and Hopper finally met up in the woods, we come back to their present tension, which he begins to ease with a disgustingly sweet breakfast monstrosity. He promises her that she can see Mike soon, but he's been saying that bullshit for a year now, and Eleven's sick of hearing it.
Friends, don't lie.
Since Bob stayed the night last night, get it, Bob, he agrees to save Joyce some time by taking Will to school.
What do you say, big guy? You want to go for a ride in the Bobmobile?
Hell yeah, dude. Bobmobile it up. During the ride, Bob tells Will about Mr. Baldo, a scary clown who haunted his childhood dreams until his dream self finally stood his ground.
I said, go away. Go away!
Hope that advice works out for you, Will. Hop and his cops review the farms with bad crops, and the chief realizes that they're all in a circle, radiating out from Hawkins' lab. He takes these findings to Dr. Owen and tells him that he'd better make sure there's no upside down leaking out the lab. Better make damn sure.
I keep things nice and quiet for you. And you keep your shit out of my town. That is the deal.
11 thinks back to when Hopper first took her to his grandpa's cabin and called it her new home. They made the place clean and secure, and Hopper told 11 she'd be safe with him as long as she followed his rules. Chief among them, don't ever go out alone.
I call them the, don't be stupid rules.
Yeah, good try, Hop, but Elle's being stupid right now, stepping over tripwires to head out on her own. She comes across a mom and her kid, which reminds her of a time when she asked Hopper about her mom. When she asked if her mom was gone, Hopper said yes, which you'd probably have to fact check as mostly false, depending on how you interpret the word gone. Steve and Nancy's relationship is still frayed from their fight at the party, so she talks to Jonathan instead about how guilty she feels over Barb. Seeing a kid with a tape player player, Nancy comes up with an idea, so she and Jonathan go to her house and call up Barb's mom. They ask her to meet them at a public park and mention that it's possible someone's listening to their conversation.
I can't tell you here on the phone.
And of course, they're right about that. Damn, Hawkins Lab, you so nosy. With a little help from her tech-inclined boyfriend, Joyce plugs their camera into the TV so she can see what Will saw on Halloween night. The tape reveals a staticky outline of a familiar shape, and when Joyce traces it, she confirms her suspicions. That there's the scary thing. During lunch, Dustin shows the gang, including Max, his new pet D'Artagnan, nicknamed Dart. He doesn't know what kind of animal Dart is, but he knows the little feller don't like heat, which is weird for a reptile. But maybe not all that weird for an upside-down slug, huh, Will? Will tells his friends that he thinks Dart came from the upside down, but not Max, of course. She's not allowed in the know. Mike and Lucas
I mean, again, gotta keep that quiet. Be like, I'd probably be like, look, I'm in secret. We're not involved because shit happened, so shush. I don't know. Like, give her at least some clue. Like, don't push her out. Like, sheesh. I mean, I'd be worried too, but goddamn.
Want to take Dart to Hopper, but Dustin's grown too attached.
We have a bond.
Like a father-son bond. And look at that little boy grow. He's reached his quadrupedal teens. Dart darts off.
Yeah, that's not
Max
good.
cracks open the door, and he dips, dives, and dodges to get away from the kids. They split off to track him down, and when Mike runs into Max during their search, he straight up tells her he doesn't want her in the party. She ain't no L. Speaking of whom, 11 gets to the school just in time to see Mike talking to another girl. So she has a cowman and knocks Max down, disappearing before Mike can figure out that Max just got telekinetic-tripped. During the search for Dart, Will finds himself in the Upside Down, running down the hall from a smoke monster chasing after him. Dustin gets to Dart before the others and hides him under his hat as Mike arrives and asks, hey, where the heck is Will? Well, I'll tell you, Mike, that boy's running through the Upside Down and considering words of wisdom from inspirational football players. With Bob's baldo-busting advice in mind, he turns around and stands his ground. Hardy little fella, if a bit screamy poopy pants face. His yelling doesn't deter the evil shadow monster though, which face hugs him in every orifice with a whole bunch of tentacles. Well, that was good to say. The giant shadow monster, which was advertised right off the bat for this season, was designed by Paul and Christina Graff, who had matte painter Steve Messing draw up concept art that incorporated storm clouds and tornadoes into the monster's appearance. For this scene, when it attacks Will's face, storyboard artist Michael Marr made concept paintings that were then filmed in an awesome way. Multiple cameras circled Noah Schnapp on a track, with one filming him in front of a green screen and another filming clean backgrounds to use behind him. Finally, effects company Hydraulics took all this concept art and turned it into the amazing visual effects that you see. A whole lot of people involved to bring this thing to life, but you know what they say, it takes a video village to raise a monster. Will is standing in the field, huffing shadow fumes in the Upside Down, when Joyce comes to pick him up. She takes him home, where he says he doesn't remember what happened, so Joyce breaks out the receipts and gets him to admit that he saw a scary monster, and that the scary monster is now inside of him. That's probably why his temperature is running super low, and though Joyce tries to raise it with a nice warm bath, Will the Whack reacts to it like she was looking to boil him alive.
He likes it cold.
11 gets back home late to find an irate Chief Hopper in full-on angry dad mode.
Don't walk away from me!
He yells at her for breaking his idiot rules, then tries to ground her from Egos and TV. But 11 loves Cheers, and since he just cut her off from Sam and Diane, she yells that he's no better than her papa. She openly uses her powers against him and storms into her room, her psychic temper tantrum climaxing with a window explosion, which was done practically and without a stunt double for David Harbour. The next morning, Nancy and Jonathan go to meet Barb's mom at the park as planned. When they get there, they notice people potentially spying on them. Dudes with newspapers, brightly attired joggers, kids playing games. Don't count out kid spies, they're the most ruthless. It ends up that pretty much everyone there is a spy, jury's still out on the kids, and Nancy and Jonathan find themselves caught by a bunch of G-men. They're taken to Hawkins' lab, where Dr. Owens lectures them about trying to spill their beans. He blames Brenner and the previous employees for killing Barb and upside-downing Will, and says that he's the new boss, who's not the same as the old boss. The most important thing right now is to contain the Upside Down and keep it a secret, lest the Russians find out and try to weaponize it somehow.
The more attention we bring to ourselves, the more people like the Hollands know the truth, the more likely that scenario becomes.
So quit trying to blab to people. We've got this. They let the kids go, and we see that these two future journalists just tape recorded themselves a scoop.
The ones responsible for what happened to your brother and Miss Holland's death, they're gone.
Evidence in hand, they drive out of Hawkins. After trying but failing to make amends with 11, Hopper is called to the buyer's home, where Joyce shows him her little popsicle boy Will, who says the scary shadow monster wants to keep things nice and chill. He also says he's been given memories that aren't his own, memories of death and of sliding down water slides. He's having a hard time saying what he's seeing in words, so they tried to get him to draw it all out. But maybe try drawing a little better there, Will. Those are scribbles. Unable to return to where everybody knows her name, 11 reluctantly cleans the cabin until she finds a hatch in the floor that leads to a crawl space full of memories. Some fun, others undoubtedly less fun. And also one that may be relevant to her. Inside the box labeled Hawkins Lab, 11 finds a file on Terry Ives, who once had a baby Jane. Whatever happened to her? She finds a picture of Terry with her papa and takes a blindfolded visit to the moist void to see what's up. There she finds Terry in a rocking chair, murmuring something to herself over and over.
Rainbow. Three to the right. 4 left.
Terry senses that 11's there and calls out her Christian name, leading Elle to learn a new word.
Mama.
Yeah, Mama. It's like Papa, only, I guess, dustier. Max is sick of being left out of all the cool conversations, so she tells Lucas she's done having friends that aren't fully friends.
I don't want to be in your stupid party anyway.
The argument is seen by Billy when he comes to pick her up, and I don't like the way he's looking at Lucas there.
There are certain type of people in this world that you stay away from.
Yeah, something tells me he doesn't mean the kind of people who rock corduroy jackets. Dustin gets home and finds that Dart is no longer in his cage. Instead, he shed some skin and is now a drippy big boy. A drippy big boy who eats cats? Aw,
no.
Dart, you fucking suck, dude. Don't give me that sass. That's a bad Dart. The reveal of Dart's petal mouth confirms that he came from the upside down.
Yep.
In fact, Dart
Way to go, Dustin. You just killed your cat.
An adolescent Demogorgon, whose 5 stages of evolution, tadpole, frog, cat, dog, and fully grown, were designed by Aaron Sims Creative, who of course did the original Demogorgon design for season 1. The effects company Hydraulics then added texture and designed the animal's internal organs and muscle structure, which you can sometimes see during its first 2 stages when its skin is still translucent. On set, they had 3D printed and silicone gel models so the actors could work with something tactile, even if it was just being pulled on a string sometimes. Other times, a marble was used as a stand-in, like when Dart was Tokyo drifting down the hallway. Will continues to draw reams of his raw dreams, and Joyce figures out that his scribbles are all part of a bigger picture. She and Hop get to tape them together, leading to another Joyce Byers project that, while maybe not as iconic as the alphabet lightboard, is still a pretty good visual set piece for the show. These scribbles were all over the Universal maze at Halloween Horror Nights. With a closer look, Hopper realizes what's being drawn.
He's drawing vines.
So he heads to the rotten pumpkin patch, where he starts digging until he taps into hollow ground. Climbing down into this hole, he finds himself in a tunnel that's got all sorts of vines and dandruff floating around. In other words, a tunnel that's looking pretty damn upside down. Joyce's latest arts and crafts project has taken over her home, but it hasn't helped them figure out what's wrong with Will, who tells Mike that he feels the monster taking over.
It's like he's reaching into Hawkins more and more. And the more he spreads, the more connected to him I feel.
Mike says maybe they can use this connection as a weapon. Will can be a sweaty spy boy that informs them about the shadow monster. You know, as long as it doesn't backfire.
What if he spies back?
Well, that would be bad. Dustin gears himself up in old hockey pads and prepares to capture Dart with bologna, the worst of all deli offerings. His trail of processed garbage meat gets Dart out of the house, and when the little fucker figures out that something untoward is going on, Dustin has no choice but to knock his pet into a storm cellar and lock it up inside.
I'm sorry. You ate my cat.
11 gets a ride from a friendly trucker to the house of Ives, and when her Aunt Becky doesn't let her in, not knowing who she is, 11 just ups and invites herself inside.
I want to see Mama.
She tries to talk to her mama, only to get the same jumble of words she saw her saying in the void. But after catching up with her aunt a bit, 11 realizes that Terry is trying to interact with them through flickering lights. Judging by that bloody nose, one thing is certain.
She wants to talk.
Nancy and Jonathan have left Hawkins to visit that Murray Bowman guy, who already knows their names as he welcomes them inside his Fleabag home. He's got a whole damn layer of corkboard theories about Hawkins, Will Byers, and of course Barb Holland, whose disappearance he's being paid to investigate. Little did he know, he just stumbled across a bunch of shortcuts.
The girl with the buzzed hair. She's not Russian, she's from Hawkins' lab. Her name was 11.
He worked on this story for a year, and they blurted it out. Max goes to the Palace Arcade and is tricked into meeting with Lucas, who wants to tell her about what happened in season 1, even though it might be hazardous to her health.
You could be arrested. Possibly killed.
At first she thinks it's a made-up story meant to be a joke at her expense, but eventually his shit-your-pants seriousness convinces her he's telling the truth. Aw, glad to see them make up. Billy, he's not as happy to see it. Hopper's lost inside Floating Skinflake Central, trying to find his way out using a trail of tobacco. Will sees the chief in a dream and draws the coordinates on a fresh sheet of scribbles, which Mike and Joyce match to the rest of the mess all over her walls. They don't know what it means exactly, but someone just rolled up who might be able to help them find the X.
What's at the X? Pirate treasure?
No, you goon. Bob the Brain quickly figures out that the drawings are actually a map of Hawkins.
Yeah, that's Sattler's Quarry.
Then gets mathematical and cartographical up in this bitch to figure out the location of the X that marks the hop. Maybe just look for the picture that has a bunch of pissed off vines in it, because that's what the chief is presently struggling with. Will's drawings of the tunnel system, which my assistant Veronica wonderfully recreated for the set back there, were mapped out by returning production designer Chris Trujillo, who made sure the tunnel drawings actually fit into a map of Hawkins that they had created for geographical continuity. That's way more work than the showrunners of Lost were ever willing to do. Then the prop team created all the individual drawings you see using 1,500 crayons and 3,000 sheets of paper. They were led by prop master Linda Rice, who also did props for American Beauty. She's the one who found that beautiful plastic bag. With no one answering their radios, Dustin goes to the Wheeler house to collect Mike, only to find out that neither Wheeler child is home. Steve shows up with flowers, hoping to get back into Nancy's graces, and since he's the only assistance available, Dustin hitches his ride to Harrington and begins the greatest goddamn relationship this show will ever give us. Fuck yes, Dustin. Does Steve? Nancy and Jonathan show Murray their tape and ask him if it's enough evidence to blow the lid off of Hawkins' lab. Through some vodka and Billie Holiday, Murray lays out the problem they face. Though he believes them, the American public won't, because they like it when things are simple.
The minute someone with an ounce of authority calls bullshit, everyone will nod their heads and say, see? Ha! I knew it! It was bullshit.
Yeah, Murray's not a fan of the overpowered US government. His blood does not run red, white, and blue. He does not have a bald eagle heart. Together, though, he and Nancy figure out a plausible PR strategy. They can water down the accusation and, instead of talking about aliens or some shit, say that Barb was killed by a chemical exposure from Hawkins' lab.
Something scary but familiar.
Yeah, 3 cheers to radiation. At the Ives home, 11 hops into the void so she can speak to Terry. Aw, I bet her mom will love that, huh?
No.
Okay, maybe she won't. Sorry. Through a memory montage, we see the origin of the words that Terry keeps repeating. Breathe comes from when she went into labor, wherein Dr. Brenner delivered her very much alive child. Sunflower is what she saw when she woke up and was lied to, being told her baby died. Then 3 to the right and 4 to the left were the combination needed to crack open a gun safe. She took that gun into Hawkins' lab and used it to murder a guard, shooting him in the chest. She was able to track down baby Jane/11, who was with another young girl in a room marked with a rainbow, another one of Terry's words. Finally, 450 was how many volts of electricity Doc Brenner administered during the electroshock therapy that left her how she is today.
Green, sunflower, rainbow, 450, 3 to the right, 3,
Go to the left.
Damn, that is some messed up shit. Mike, Bob, and the Byerses drive to where Hopper should be based on Will's drawing. They find nasty tentacle vines in the ground, and after Joyce hacks away at them with a shovel, she and Bob hop down into the tunnel.
Are we in Will's map?
They follow Hop's trail of broken cigarettes and find him getting choked by vines, but they're able to rescue him by cutting and stabbing at the tentacles.
Hey, Bob. Hey, Jim.
All of a sudden,
Hey,
though,
Jim.
some Hawkins lab peeps show up, and after giving Hopper a second to Indiana Jones' hat, they start flamethrowing away at the vines. Unfortunately, the incineration also hurts Will, and I don't mean just a little. That boy's in bad shape. And that's where episode 5 of Stranger Things 2 ends. The next 4 episodes will finish out the season and give us a whole lot more kills to count, so don't you worry. I'll look at that on Friday, along with...
Well, luckily, we can go skip ahead. Because, well, like I said, this is already over in there, so... not much left to check out. So, one down, just... how many more to go? I don't know. It's been a while. Still takes a while, but... anywho, time for part 2.
Welcome to the Kill Count,
Heyo.
where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror media. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're gonna finish up Stranger Things 2, released to Netflix in 2017. Let's get back to the kills.
Yep, know the drill. Let's go. We're only one down. First up, number 6, The Spy.
Will Byers in a bad way, and things aren't getting better for the little guy at Hawkins' lab.
Where's it hurt the most, Will?
Man, poor kid just can't catch a break, and his poor mom can't catch any answers.
What is wrong with my boy?
She catches Bob up on all the season 1 stuff he missed, and apologizes that he's mixed up in their wild lives now. That's okay, Joyce.
Sorry, Bob.
Y'all never forget his name.
Who is that?
Uh-oh.
Bob, dude. Steve drives to Dustin's house, blaring Queen, and breaks out his old friend the nail bat after Dustin says he'll need it for his dart. Too bad that molten son of a gun
and
is
he's
successfully
gone
broken
again.
free of captivity. Damn it, Dustin. I told you it was weird that Dart had a Rita Hayworth poster. Now that darn Dart could be anywhere. Murray Bowman makes a copy of the tape Nancy made at Hawkins' lab, and together, he, Nancy, and Jonathan make a bunch of duplicates to mail to various newspapers. Hey, Murray.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Get these kids drunk in your basement? Little weird,
so.
dude.
Take my guest room.
Lot of weird, dude. When they tell
Yeah,
him
very
they're just
weird.
friends, he laughs in their faces and says they're clearly in love. After all, they've got the strongest bond of all.
Shared trauma.
His armchair
Harsh,
psychoanalysis
but he's
is
wrong.
a bit off-putting, since he's essentially egging a couple of teens on to fuck.
Cut the bullshit and share the damn bag.
But his words affect them both deeply, and before you know it, Nancy and Jonathan are sucking face in a conspiracy theorist's basement. Romantic! They share
Steve is not gonna be happy with this one.
With Bowman, who exhibits a lack of tact as well as an inability to properly get food into his mouth.
How was the pullout?
Oh, hey, hey, hey,
sofa.
hey.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was good.
I bet.
Double entendre.
Oops.
One of my favorite behind-the-scenes fun facts is that egg drop was accidental.
Oh.
The actors just rolled with it, though you can see Natalia Dyer start to laugh in the take. Lucas radios Dustin and is told where to meet him and Steve.
Steve Harrington?
Yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Steve
sorry,
the Hair
gotta-
Harrington. Before he goes there, he swings by Max's place, a supremely unwise move considering Billy's just inside
with
doing
giant
supersets
weights,
on
look
his
out.
biceps and lungs. Lucas tells Max he has proof of everything he told her, and they're out of there before Billy can see what's going on. It's Bike Kid time! Hopper gets all the upside-down hosed off of him before he's
Fair enough.
instructed to suit up and go exploring with Dr. Owens in a rickety cave elevator. Elecator? They go down deep
Elecator, yeah.
below, past a massive fissure, and Owens shows him their dilemma. The upside down is spreading out further and further, but they can't contain it with fires because it'll hurt that little boy Byers. Will is having a hard time recognizing
What?
anyone who's not his mom or Mike, and of course he's gonna remember Finn Wolfhard. Kid was an it. They decide to test Will's reaction to some slug serum and quickly confirm that he's got a physical connection to the upside down.
It burns
Where?
everywhere!
Owens concludes
Stop.
Will has some sort of virus, one that's using him to communicate to the rest of a giant hive mind.
The good news is that a virus can be cured.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, but how are we gonna kill this
Steve
one?
and Dustin are walking along railroad tracks,
Huh,
chumming it
stand by
up
me
in
again.
more ways than one, as Harrington tries to give the younger boy relationship advice pertaining to Max.
The key with girls is just
Just acting like you don't care.
Oh yeah, Steve Harrington's kind of dumb. He's also still reeling from his breakup with Nancy, so, you know, not in the best headspace to talk love lives. Still, it's sweet how much he wants to help Dustin, even sharing with him some hair care secrets.
Farrah Fawcett spray? Yeah, Farrah Fawcett. You tell anyone I just told you that,
you're dead.
And your ass is grassy.
The doctors at Hawkins' lab look at some buyer's brain scans and see some bad news, but some of them just want to get back to burning the Upside Down to contain its spread.
And if it kills the boy?
Then quite frankly, Sam, it kills him.
Owens tells that guy
not happening.
to fuck off, and hopefully it won't
We
even
own.
come to all of that, because
Not
Will
gonna happen.
just told Mike that he might know how to stop the Shadow Monster. Using
How?
photographs of its tunnel system map, Will figures out a likely location of the Shadow Monster, so a bunch of scientists arm themselves with guns and head into the tunnels to put an end to the Upside Down nuisance.
Good luck.
Dustin takes Steve to the junkyard from season 1, and they're shortly joined by Lucas
guys.
and Max, who Dustin is just so happy to see together. Really, it's awesome. Super cool. The
Don't
four
try
of
too
them
hard.
get to work fortifying a bus and rolling barrels
Whee!
around, hoping to lure the dreaded Dart to them so they can take care of him once and for all. Man, that friggin' bus fortress looks cozy as all hell. As long as no one farts in there. Dustin overplays the whole pretend not to care about Max thing, so she leaves him and climbs up to the roof of the bus. Over an eerie junkyard fog, she opens up to Lucas and talks about her troubled family life, including how Billy is abusive towards her. Awful to hear, but at least these two are forming a healthy relationship.
I like talking with you, Mad Max.
Thanks.
I like talking with you, stalker.
They hear a demogorgic noise and spot themselves a demodog, but when the predatory pup doesn't take the bait, Steve steps outside to offer some encouragement, not realizing that Dart rolled in with the crew. This dog is a pack hunter, like a bunch of little demoraptors. The bus fortress holds, save for one exhaust port-sized sunroof, but something calls the demodogs away, just barely saving the lives of Steve, Dustin, and the scared lovebirds crushing on each other.
They're going somewhere.
They're going straight to where the Hawkins lab scientists are, because it turns out those dudes weren't being led to an attack site. Instead, the Shadow Monster was using Will as a spy, and that little Benedict Bullcut led them straight into a trap. I like the difference in monsters between seasons 1 and 2. While the Demogorgon was frequently compared to a shark, a hungry animal acting on instinct, the Shadow Monster is a sentient being with plans and goals, even if we don't always understand them. Wide shots and radar blips both confirm that there are 7 Hawkins lab
they're getting
who get ambushed by demodogs and killed one by one, their flashlights falling to the ground as they die. Something about this feels familiar, huh, Burke? Owens. And the bad
Burke, way to
news
go, buddy.
just keeps getting worse, because the demodogs keep on coming and are now climbing straight up into Hawkins' lab itself. What a super exciting time to cut to something completely different. Terry Ives is still repeating her version of the lost numbers, which has left her nose bloody and her daughter confused. 11 wants to find the other little girl from her mom's memories, and after she and her Aunt Becky discover some relevant files, Elle goes to look for her in the void. There she is, right at the corner of Nothing Avenue and Flaming Trash Boulevard. 11 overhears Becky calling the Hawkins PD for help, so she disappears with her aunt's credit cards, not interested in seeing Hopper again. She gets on a bus as a bit too on-the-nose needle drop of Bon Jovi's Runaway takes her next door to the land of Lincoln. Chicago is one big-ass motherfucking city compared to Hawkins, and it's actually a little jarring to see such a sprawling metropolis in Stranger Things. I can't say they nail it either. I like my 80s urban areas grimy and with way more smoke coming from manholes. Step it up now, duffers. 11 eventually traverses the seedier parts of town and winds up at a warehouse where she runs into that overly 80s gang of punks, the ones who kicked this season off. Spiky-haired Axel pulls a spiky switchblade on the young girl, but then he sees spiders all over his hand and backs off. The spiders were just mind spiders, courtesy of Kali, who quickly learns that 11's got some superpowers too, and matching birth tattoos. Look at that. Sister. Never knew how much I missed you. Kali, aka 8, tells Jane, aka 11, that she should use her gifts freely, just like she uses hers.
I can make people see or not see whatever I choose.
Check it out, a Coachella butterfly. Hey, don't swat a Coachella fly. And quit poking my face, God. The two of them bond immediately, because probably lonely, being super science guinea pigs. And though Kali's crew makes fun of the newcomer, she tells them that her sister's powers could be useful.
She can find people without moving. with nothing but an image.
Kali introduces Eleven to her band of merry misfits. Axel, we already know. Dottie is the material girl. Mick is their protector. And Funshine is their lovable warrior.
Nice to meet you, Miss J.
None of them have superpowers like Kali or Elle, but they are outcasts of society, and they take their frustrations out on the scientists who worked at Hawkins' lab.
You hurt the bad men?
Yeah, Elle. They fucking murder them in their doorways like they were Gal goddamn Bedecker. Kali says these people deserve to die for what they did to kids like them, and if Elle is willing to help, then all they need is a training montage to strengthen her force powers. Move that trailer now, girl. Do or do not. There is no try. Under Kali's direction, Eleven channels anger from her memories and flexes her mind muscles in a showcase that gets those punks real excited. Elle takes a look at Kali's most wanted board and recognizes a dude who electroshocked her mom and Kali when she was young. Don't tase her, bro! Eleven uses a picture of this guy, Ray Carroll, and figures out where he is doing her void search. Nice job, Elle. You just earned yourself a metropolitan
makeover!
Bitchin'. Bitchin'.
Hey, we try not to curse around her. She tends to just repeat things. The punks walk out to their van in slow motion, looking very intentionally like the warriors from the 1979 film. I mentioned in the season 1 videos that this show doesn't depict the 80s as they actually were, but rather the 80s how they're portrayed and remembered in popular culture. Nowhere is that more apparent than in this episode, which many people think was made as a backdoor pilot, an episode of an established show meant to launch a spin-off series. Perhaps
like
the
Halloween.
wanted to make their own X-Men-like adventures starring the other numbered superheroes from Hawkins' lab. But critical and fan reaction to this episode was negative enough for them to drop it. Kali and her crew don't appear in season 3, and I don't know if we'll ever be seeing them again. They get to Ray's house, put on their best trick-or-treating faces, then telekineticize their way into his apartment. As Axel and Dottie rob him, Kali and Eleven confront Ray, played by Pruitt Taylor Vince, who had a small role at the end of Bird Box. Kali reminds him who they are, and the girls take turns beating him up, not listening to his Nuremberg defense of just following orders. He also offers to take them to Brenner.
Papa is gone.
No, he is alive.
And that, along with the dumpers confirming that he's still alive, is why I didn't include Brenner on the kill count last season. At Kali's urging, Eleven uses her powers to strangle Ray, though she stops when she sees a picture of his daughters, who Axel just found, calling the police. Since Kali doesn't believe in half measures, she tries to finish Ray off herself, but Eleven stops her with her mind. With the cops arriving, the punks are forced to flee, saving Ray from joining the kill count. Kali's not too pleased about that.
If you wanted to show mercy, that is your choice. But don't you ever take away mine.
Yeah, Elle might not want to piss off someone named after the Hindu goddess who's the destroyer of worlds. Back at Punktopia, Kali tells Eleven about how she escaped Hawkins' lab using her powers and has been a vigilante orphan ever since. But Elle might not want that kind of life. Even if it would supposedly avenge her mother, she might just want a life with friends who care about her and Papa police chiefs who dance. In the Void, she sees Mike trying to warn the others about the incoming demodogs, but her Void visit is interrupted by a bunch of cops looking to cuff themselves some punks. Kali uses her powers to camouflage them, and they're able to get away, though not without shots being exchanged. Nothing a little magic wall can't fix, though. The punks are ready to hit the road, but since her friends are in danger, Eleven decides to go square and runs off on her own as the punks flee the police. Sorry for your loss, Kali, but Eleven belongs in nap time.
There you go.
Okay, back to Stranger Things. The demodogs have finished their ascent and are not very good boys at all. Calm down, little doggies. As Owens releases the cabin monsters, the dogs break through straight into Bedlam and corner a bunch of red shirts wearing white coats in an elevator. No need to assume anything here, folks. We get confirmation that those 6 people are dead. Dead by dog. That's my favorite Beagle Dead movie. Since Will's a little spy boy, Mike determines that they should put him to sleep and cause the shadow monster to lose its intel. But are we sure Will's not himself right now?
Your mom!
The real Will would never tell a yo mama joke.
Hold him down.
Yep, mouthing off to Joyce Byers. That's an easy.
Night-night.
Hop shows up to rescue everyone and runs through the hectic hallways, witnessing one dude getting his face nommed on. Huh, just one? That's not too bad.
Oh my god.
What are you? Oh my god.
Yikes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot of bodies. Okay.
15 bodies on these monitors, including a handful only shown for a few frames. We do the damn job, okay? The power goes out at Hawkins' lab, which also locks everyone inside. Inside with more more dead people like
And
these
4 bodies
four
right
in the
there.
hallway, along with the demo dogs.
Man, they are really ramping
Though
up the
Hop
kills
wants to
now.
play the hero, as per usual. This latest problem involves resetting a computer system using BASIC.
It's a computer programming language.
All right, teach it to me.
Shall I teach you French while I'm at it, Jim?
Sounds like this is more of a job for
Bob.
Super Bob.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, but is it
Good luck, Bob.
Because you're walking past a dead body right now, so
Don't jinx it,
is
buddy.
It gonna
Good
be
luck.
okay? Billy gets ready for his night, listening to Kill 'Em All Metallica, but when his dad and stepmom come home and find Max missing, we get a good look as to where Billy gets his abusive tendencies from. Yo, Dad Stash, you're creating a cycle here. Knock it off! Though it doesn't excuse his actions, I like that the show contextualizes Billy's evilness. That's good character writing there. We get a Stand By Me Night Edition scene, wherein Steve lets slip that Dustin had been keeping Dart at his place, and the boys get into a little spat. Man, these friends are always fighting, huh? Steve hears an excuse to leave these angry adolescents,
fair back.
and they follow scary Demodog sounds to Hawkins' lab, which is where Nancy and Jonathan just arrived, having returned to Hawkins from their sex vacation in Murray Bowman's basement. Awkward! Bob's Boxer
Don't say
Browning
anything.
basic mission takes him past 2 bodies that I already counted from the monitors as he
Fair
turns
enough.
the power back on and gets to the lab's computer system.
All right, here we go.
Because Bob's a badass, he rises to the occasion and resets the system.
Easy peasy.
Son of a bitch did it.
On the newly
Nice.
rebooted monitors, Owen sees a Demodog and a new body in a stairwell that's pretty close to Bob. Bob distracts the dogs away by triggering a sprinkler system, hoping to catch up with the others who are already out in the
Bob's
lobby,
done.
along
Oops.
with 6 new bodies for me to add to the count. As Owens guides Bob through the facility using the monitors, we see 6 new background bodies laying around in the halls and leaning up against the walls. After some minor setbacks, Bob finally gets out to the lobby where Joyce is waiting for him. Whew, he made it!
Or not!
Oh, come on! In
so
a kill
close.
as
Poor
inevitable
Bob.
as it is heartbreaking, Bob Newby becomes dog foodie. Thanks,
Shoot him?
I hate
Okay.
it. I said, thanks, I hate it, duffers. I didn't need this extended shot here. Shit.
Poor Bob.
Bob Newby was always written to die, but originally it was going to happen a lot earlier in the season. As with many other characters, the casting influenced the writing, and because of the affable Sean
Fair.
Astin, the duffers greatly expanded the role. His hero's death, evocative of Quince and Jaws, was going to be a bit more bloody before they toned it down, because, come on, man, that shit's sad. Also, although the Demodogs were obviously digital in the end, Sean Astin suggested they use a physical stand-in for his death scene, based on his experience shooting Lord of the
sweet of him.
Rings. Staff writer Kate Schriefra happened to be on set that day, and, being the right size, jumped at the
Nice.
opportunity to stand in for a Demodog. Jonathan and Nancy pull up to the lab
Come on,
to
get in.
save everyone from the Demodogs, and together they head back to the buyer's house so Joyce can
Gang's
have
back
a good
together now.
cry. Me too, Joyce. Me too. And in case
Yeah,
Bob's
right.
death wasn't sad enough already, Mike adds an extra dollop of pathos to the pile.
Did you guys know that Bob was the original founder of Hawkins AV?
Bob was OG. Mike, finally given something to do in this season,
There you
has
go,
the
Mike.
idea that if
Jeez,
they
dude,
defeat the
stop.
shadow monster inside of Will, its destruction will stop all the Demodogs as well, since they're connected through the hive mind.
This is the thing that controls everything. It's the brain.
Like the Mind Flayer.
Finally, I
There's
can
the
stop saying
name.
Shadow Monster and call it the frickin' Mind Flayer. The
Yay!
Mind Flayer, according to Dustin and D&D, is an ancient superior being who wants to use inferior creatures like humans to take over other dimensions. And the key to defeating it may be that tuckered out kid on the couch. Though Will Byers is a Will Spires, they figure he can't espionage if you don't know where he is, so they black out his shed and turn it into a
What if he
GPS
uses just the-
plotter. Can't sick
I just-
Demodogs on someone if you don't know where they are. Great job, everyone. That little
What if
kid's
he's
gonna be
just the
totally
one-
lost when he regains consciousness. All right, wake up now, little kid.
Let me go! Let me go! Let me go! Let me go!
Huh, maybe let's put him back down again. His tantrum subsides, and Joyce begins looking for the real Will Byers, recounting old stories with her burning mother's love. Jonathan jumps in with his own story, kind of looking like a Gorillaz character while he tells it, and Richie Tozier does the same.
I asked if you wanted to be my friend,
What you said?
and you said yes.
Though Will's words are still the Mind Flayers, Hop sees him tapping a message with his hand.
Hey, what is that?
Morse code.
Everyone
Jinx.
knows but you, Steve. The Kinks score a group effort as everyone tries to interpret these buyers' beeps and dashes. But right as they learn that Will's telling them to close gate, Joyce's phone goes off, letting Will know where he is. Oh man, they're gonna have a dog problem now for sure. Summoning the demodogs, that's a needling. Everyone gathers in the living room with the weapons they're proficient in. Nice +1 doorknob there, Mike. And before long, a demodog is thrown through the window. A dead demodog. How could that have happened? Well, it wasn't 1 through 10, folks. It was motherfucking 11. Get an eyeful of that, Mike. He gets an armful as well when the two of them hug, which is a real nice moment. Just, you know, watch the noseblood there. Mike gets mad at Hopper for keeping 11 away from him.
You're stupid, disgusting lies, you piece of shit!
But the police chief calms him
Let
down.
it out. Let it out.
Man, I would love a hug from Dave.
Yeah, honestly, I was there with like, all right, let it out.
By shouldering Max aside, 11 goes to the buyer's boy's bedside, where she sees that he told them to close the gate. Since she's the one who left it open in the first place, she decides it's time to punk things up. Best get on it fast, Al.
Okay, back to Hawkins. Let's go.
One potential problem, though, is if they close the gate and kill the mind flayer, it might kill Will, too, since right now they're doing a sort of joint custody thing with his body. Their solution is to make the mind flayer leave Will's body by making it less hospitable, and that means they're gonna have to warm that boy up. Steve tells Nancy to go help Jonathan with the task because he realizes they're together now. And you know what?
It's okay, Nancy.
I don't think I could keep it.
It's okay.
Steve Harrington is such a good character. I love that
Thanks,
guy.
Steve.
Nancy, Joyce, and Jonathan leave with Will as Hopper takes 11 to go close the gate at Hawkins' lab. And everyone else, stay at the buyer's house. Cool. Maybe take care of that dead demodog 11 left lying around. For this shot, Stusty is handling a practical demodog head and paw that was 3D printed by the graphs and that I would kill to get my hands on. Karen Wheeler has her bubble-soaking good times interrupted by an abusive prick at her door who instantly charms the MILF out of her.
I'm Nancy's mother.
No.
Yes.
Mrs. Wheeler.
Don't blame Karen, though. I mean, the dude literally looks like her book cover hunk come to life. Also, you know, she's married to Ted, the guy who lives his life from a lazy boy. Billy says he's looking for Max and Lucas, and Karen gives him directions to the buyer's house to find them. She hates to see him go, but she loves to watch him leave. Seems like all the ladies are fond of costume designer Kim Wilcox's work, who had to find the perfect tight retro jeans for Dacre Montgomery to wear. On their way to Hawkins' lab, 11 tells Hopper that she went to see her mom. He apologizes for lying and saying that her mom was gone, and admits that he's just scared of losing her like he lost his daughter Sarah. Since he can't really argue against the whole dead daughter thing, the two of them make up.
I don't hate it, by the way. This whole
dynamic
look.
I think you're in the minority there, Chief.
Okay.
Mike's getting restless at the buyer's house and decides that if they distract the demodogs, it'll help out 11 at Hawkins' lab. Steve, nominally in charge, says that they should just stay put. But dude, you've got bigger problems to deal with, because Billy just rolled up in his Camaro, and these two have already been quarreling at school. Billy getting his sweat all over Steve when he's not too busy making sweet trick shots. That shot was actually a big deal for Dacre Montgomery, who didn't play a lot of basketball in real life and who was trained by the guy who played their coach in the show. Everyone was impressed when he made that under the leg shot.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Billy says he's looking for Max, and he knows that she's there because he can see her through the window right now.
Oh, shit.
That moment is so dumb and lazy to me. These kids would be smarter than to sitcom pose at the window for Billy to see them. Billy pushes Steve down and steps inside to beat some adolescent ass. He's just about to pummel Lucas when Steve steps in and interferes.
Bonk!
Steve!
Oh man, you don't want him to laugh after you hit him. That's scary as hell. Steve tries his best, but Billy fights dirty, hitting him with a plate that didn't properly break away on set, giving Joe Keery an unpleasant surprise. With Steve on the ground, Billy begins pummeling him in a way you always see in movies and TV shows, even though, like, wouldn't that kill the person getting hit? Max doesn't want to find out, so she grabs a sedative they had used for Will. Trying to kill Steve Harrington? Oh,
that's a needling.
That's a needling. With some coaxing, Max gets Billy to agree to leave them alone, then nabs his car keys so they can go on and get. A somehow not brain-damaged Steve comes to and gets some real talk from his new best friend.
You kicked your ass, but you put up a good fight, buddy, okay?
Thanks, Dusty. But, how's that 13-year-old driving? Ah, the old block under the shoe trick.
That works.
Sure. What could go wrong? Nancy and the Byers family head to Hopper's cabin to try and deflay Will, once again requiring him to not know where he is. They strap him down and turn up the heat by means both natural and electric, which wakes the boy up in a sweaty panic. He starts screaming about how much it hurts, but Joyce wants her baby back, so she just turns the heat up. That causes Mind Flayer Will to go all the rage carry too, and he breaks from his restraints to grab at Joyce. Hop and 11 get to Hawkins' lab, a place that doesn't have the best memories for her. Doesn't help that there's a chorus of demon dogs inside.
Ah, crap.
At the bottom of a stairwell, Hopper finds Owens with an injured leg. Since it turns out Owens isn't a total son of a bitch, Hopper fixes him up and introduces him to 11.
Maybe when this is all said and done, maybe you could help her out too, you know?
How's that sound, Doc? Think it over. Here's a gun. Max drives the gang to the pumpkin patch where Hopper entered the upside-down tunnels, and although Steve's still trying to stop this whole thing, Dustin tells him to just buckle up for the ride.
Now, I know you promised Nance that you would keep us safe. So keep us safe.
Steve takes his advice and takes the lead in the tunnels, a spurty location that was at least partially a physical, practical set. Production designer Chris Trujillo built 80,000 square feet of these tunnels on a soundstage, making them fleshy and gross to evoke internal organs. The setting was then enhanced by visual effects that added moving vines and all those spores, which kind of function like the Zerg's creep in StarCraft. They're seeding more upside down as they spread further outward. The party makes its way to a central hub, and, hoping to bring the Demodogs their way, start a fire.
Lighter up.
Cool guy lighter flick. Everything starts to happen at once. Will's family and Nance try to fend him off as he gets more wolf-man-y. Hop prepares to pop off at some Demodogs in their way, and Steve tosses his lighter into the fuel. The resultant fire affects the entire hive mind, including Will and all those Demodogs. So, good job, Mike. Your plan worked. Now get the hell out of there.
Yeah, run, bro, run!
Exits Will's body. Nanobots, away!
Bye-bye!
Finally returns young Will to his mother Joyce.
Go back.
Son! And don't forget Jonathan. Hug me, brother! With Will no longer in danger, Jonathan tells Hopper to close the gate, so he and 11 send that rickety elevator, ready to season finale this bitch. All right, 11, show this Mind Flayer that you ain't no punk, no matter how much you look like one. She thinks back to Kali telling her how to use her powers, I guess trying to make that episode matter or something, and draws on her anger to close the massive gate. Elle had better hate in a hurry, because in the tunnels, her friends are fleeing Demodogs. In fact, one very specific Demodog.
Dart.
Dustin knows Dart loved that nougat, so he's able to appease the dog long enough for them to step away. But I hope you brought enough for the whole class. Actually, the other dogs run right past Dustin and Steve, because they got a bigger fish to fry.
11.
Elle's still trying to close the gate when the Demodogs start leaping towards the elevator like this was the House of the Dead. Make sure to shoot off screen to reload, Chief. Good thing 11's having herself a Make Me Mad memory montage. It allows her to rise into the air and fend off the Mind Flayer as it comes at her with a tendril of ashy particles. The final boss battle took place in the only fully CG environment of the season, with visual effects done by Atomic Fiction, who also handled things like the upside-down school hallways and the disappearing into dust bomb that 11 encountered in the void. The Mind Flayer showdown was filmed on a giant soundstage, with Millie Bobby Brown and David Harbour inside a cage suspended from the ceiling, and surrounded by 3 giant blue screen panels that could be rolled around. Seems pretty cool to shoot, although with the cage getting jerked around to emulate the Demodog attacks, and a wire harness lifting her up for her superpower ending, Millie Bobby Brown ended up getting nauseous while filming the scene. 11 defeats the Mind Flayer and closes the gate, then collapses safely in the elevator, while the Demodogs collapse and fall down the chasm to their deaths. Poor little doggies. Oh, don't show us Dart dying, what the fuck? Hopper holds 11 and tells her that she did good enough to earn a denouement. It's 1 month later, and Hawkins' lab has been closed, thanks to Murray Bowman's story of radiation killing Barb Holland. But her parents got some closure. In a surprising move for anyone who's ever seen Aliens, Owens sticks to his word and gives Hopper a birth certificate for 11, one that says
now
Hopper
Jane
is
Hopper.
her legal father now. Perhaps even more surprising is that Billy has kept his word as well, leaving Max alone as she gets ready for the big snowball dance. Everyone's getting ready for the snowball, in fact. Getting pics and learning dance steps and spraying hair. Spraying a lot of hair. Damn, Dustin. Uncle Steve got you styling.
Look like $1 million.
Yeah.
And you're gonna slam Dad.
Like a lion.
Dustin swaggers into the snowball with his new
Dustin,
and some matching confidence, just in time for a slow song courtesy of Ms. Cyndi Lauper. Lucas stumbles through asking Max to dance.
So smooth.
But gets there in the end. And after Will finds a partner too, Dustin knows it's his turn to try.
Shall we?
No thanks.
Ouch! Oof, that's gotta hurt. Aw, and he gets a double heart trouncing? Dustin Henderson don't deserve this pain. Thankfully, Nancy Wheeler is a total effing sweetheart and offers her hand to a teary Dustin so they can dance.
No. Out of all my brother's friends, you're my favorite.
Man, I love this moment. It ties back to a scene from the very first episode of the show, wherein Dustin offered Nancy pizza, only for her to slam a door in his face. I like the specificity of their relationship. That just leaves Mike, and lucky for him, 11 walks.
11 coming
Right
up.
as the police start up the most stalkery pop song to ever chart until the Plain White Tees came along. With her new birth certificate, 11's a real girl and can go out in public and dance with boys. All the boys are dancing and kissing.
Hey, go,
the kid
Mike.
actors were predictably nervous about these scenes, especially since, for some of them, it'd be their first kiss. Finn Wolfhard tried to make things easier for Brown by telling her under his breath when he was making his move.
We're dancing, and Finn goes like this. I swear he's like a ventriloquist. He was like, okay, I'm coming in.
Yeah, I swear to God. If you look closely, I'm pretty sure you can see me talking to her.
All in all, it's a great night for everyone, but that's to be expected in the magical world of the snowball. At least in the right side up version. The upside down snowball needs some serious decoration work and a no mind flayer policy, because you know that
speaking of
Momo's
which,
gonna try to
should
spike the punch. How many Stranger
Yeah,
Things
something
were there
tells
when
me he'll be
Things
back.
equals body and Stranger equals dead?
Okay, I guess
Let's
we're getting
find out
CG
and
here.
see the numbers.
Oh.
No, I said the
Numbers.
not the void. Come on. Where am I even supposed to go in here? And why is it always so wet? Man.
There you go. Wrong way. There.
I counted 50 kills in Stranger Things 2, almost 3 times as many as the first season. Best I could tell, the victims consisted of 25 men, 5 women, and 20 indeterminate victims who were all Hawkins Lab employees on monitors and such. With a season of 9 episodes, that means each episode had an average of just over 5.5 kills. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Bob Newby, because it was
just
so
out of
damn
nowhere,
upsetting.
just-
They're about to do us like that, duffers. That man went to Mordor and back.
Yeah,
All
come
the
on,
credit for
bring him
latest
back more.
kill will go to any of the various dead bodies seen laying around Hawkins'
tell
lab.
what happened to
Those
him.
corpses need to get more creative. And that's
Amen,
it.
brother.
Stranger Things 2 came out in 2017, about 15 months after the first season premiered. Tomorrow's Halloween, and my treat for you is Idle Hands. But until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been
the Kill Count.
Thanks a lot for watching.
And there we go. Stranger Things 2. Woo. I mean, I'm glad for that now. So, I mean, I'm glad 11 got her happy ending. Or, you know what I mean. Sorry. Don't want to go any further. So, I'll see you guys for 3. I think we'll cover that next, but we'll see. So now, I gotta get some lunch. Adios.